What's going on, everyone? So, Victor Wembanyama, in his rookie season, right out the gate, in my opinion, was the best defensive player in the league. This dude was an absolute monster and menace on basically everywhere. I mean, look, there have been some great defensive players in the league throughout history. I've never seen a player have like a clear lane to get a layup, and Victor is just like in the area, and that player will pull it out and try to rework it. Right? Like you have a clear path to the basket, but just the thought of Victor, his size and his length and his ability to just get over as quick as he can, it terrified players. I mean, it led the league in stocks and, blocks, steals, all that. Like the dude is, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy has a season where he averages 5-6 blocks in a season. I mean, it's just, but it's not just him defending on the interior, right? It's him also being able to close out and defend out on the perimeter because he has a 8-foot wingspan. He's 7'4", right? So he can essentially be like, 15 in, but because he's so long and lengthy, he can still close out and affect a shot out on the perimeter while also being able to maintain and protect the rim. Like you can keep him in that middle gap range, and he's just so quick, long, agile, and lengthy that he can basically recover either direction. And it's just it's unlike anything we've ever seen. Seriously, I mean, we've never seen somebody on the defensive side like Victor Wembanyama. Right? This guy, I mean, we've never seen a player, period, like Victor Wembanyama. We've seen a lot of like tall, 7-foot guys like dual. I mean, look at a guy like Kevin Durant, man. I mean, be 7 foot and move and play and shoot and do the things that he does. But Victor Wembanyama, man, usually those guys are one or the other, right? Usually those guys are excellent offensively and, maybe not great defensively, or they're excellent defensively and just like okay offensive. Like Victor has the potential to be the best offensive player and the best defensive player because Victor's already shown you his ability to score at all three levels. This guy can, because again, he's so long and lengthy, he can finish around the rim. He can also step out, knock down the mid-range. He can knock down the little elbow. He can step out, knock down the three. He can put the ball on the deck and get to the basket and create contact. He can finish at the rim, finish through contact. I mean, there's literally nothing that this guy has shown that he can do. Now, can he kind of, really refine each element of his game and get to the elite level on any of those particular skills? Defensively, there's no question, doubt in my mind that he'll be elite defensively. Again, his rookie season, he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. I believe that they didn't give it to him because he was a rookie, which I think is silly. Because, what other reason would you not give Victor Wembanyama the Defensive Player of the Year, right? The NBA has also kind of turned the Defensive Player of the Year award not into the Defensive Player of the Year award, but the Defensive Team of the Year. And it wasn't just this year with Rudy Gobert. I mean, you look at like Marcus Smart with the Boston Celtics. Like Marcus Smart wasn't even like in the top 10 in some of the categories. And yet he won Defensive Player of the Year, but he was the anchor to Boston's defense that year and they were the best defensive team. Same thing with, last season with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert wasn't the best defensive player by many metrics. I mean, you really want to talk about who were the two best defensive players in the league last year? It was Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Davis. They were the two best defense players in the league. And those are the two probably best defensive players in the league, period. And Anthony Davis doesn't even have a Defensive Player of the Year award, ever, which is crazy to me. So, but to me, I just feel like Victor was punished for being a rookie. And it was like, if you weren't going to give it to Anthony Davis last year, you should have given it to Victor. I don't care if he's a rookie. It's Player of the Year, not Team of the Year, nothing like that. But a lot of people think that Victor Wembanyama may be the best defensive player ever. And here is what Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective had to say. So, during an appearance on Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective podcast, ESPN Tim McMahon said he's spoken to people around the NBA who think Wemby has the potential to be the greatest defensive player to ever play in the league. The thing with Victor is you can reasonably expect for the next 12 or 15 years that he's going to be the most dominant defensive player in the league. Maybe the most dominant defensive player that we've ever seen. I've talked to people around the league who think that'll be the case. Also followed up with, the question is how great he will be offensively and what exactly is going to be offensively. We've talked about, hey, you're not a 6'5" shooting guard. I think if he settles into being a big man who has some guard skills and uses them selectively, then he's got a chance to be awfully special on that end of the floor as well. Now, I do agree with the sentiment, right? One, Victor may end up being the best defensive player we've ever seen. I don't think you can say that yet, because, again, rookie season. But if he can continue to display and maintain what we saw last season, even if he doesn't get better, even if he just stays where he was at last season, I think and he does that for, 10, 15 years, then yes, he'll be the best defensive player. Because again, he's not just limited to around the basket. He's not just limited to being around the rim. He's can basically defend the entire court and do it well, which is crazy. Crazy, right? But nonetheless, right, the offensive side of things is, again, it is a real concern. Now, he's going to go get you, 20 regardless, right? Like, he's going to be a 20-point-a-game guy. I mean, he was last year as a rookie on a team that, like, at times didn't even try to get him the basketball. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that Victor would be, like, wide open, and the team would just not even look at him, right? Where I think Chris Paul is really going to do wonders for Victor. Right? I think Chris Paul is going to really put Victor in position to have success, but I do agree that he is going to have to buy in on being a big man, right? Because you see the modern big man, right? Like Karl Anthony Towns doesn't really want to be a big man. He would rather sit out on the perimeter and shoot 10 threes a game. Joel Embiid's even evolved into that in a lot of ways, right? Like, you watch Joel Embiid and it's like he wants to be out on the perimeter. He might be the most dominant big man inside him and Jokic in the entire NBA, and yet Victor wants to stand out on the perimeter and just shoot threes, right? Like, to me, it's like Victor needs to find that balance, right? Wemby needs to find, I'm not saying you can't ever shoot threes, but he shouldn't be taking 10 threes. I mean, if he's like lights out a game, right? Let's say he's 4-4 from 3, then sure, keep shooting, right? But most nights, he's a guy that needs to get his points around the rim, right? So you look at last season, breaks down, played hair under 30 minutes a game. He shot 46.5% from the field total, right? He shot 32.5% from 3 on 5.5 attempts. I think that's a little high. It's not insanely high, but I do think it's a little high. I think he should be around 3.5, right? Maybe 4 at the most, right? But 3.5 threes average a game, I think, is where he should be at. And then he shot 53.4% from 2-point range on 11.2%. He had an EFG of 51.9 and averaged 21.4 points. So he took basically a third of his shots, almost more, or it is technically more, were threes, right? Like, again, you want him to have the ability to shoot and stretch the floor. You do want to see that. You do want him taking mid-range. You do want him doing a lot of things. But he also is 7'4" with a 8-foot wingspan. No one is blocking his shot. No one is stopping him around the rim, right? He could be easily a 30-point-a-game guy if he does buy in and really embrace the idea of playing and being closer to the basket than constantly away, right? Again, not saying that you can't use him to stretch the floor at times, not saying that you can't have that versatility. I've even talked about using him at the 4 on occasion, right? But I'm not a big fan of him taking 5.5 threes a game and he's only getting 16 attempts. If he was taking 25 shots a game and was getting 5.5, then sure, now we're talking, right? But to me, it's just like the defensive side of things, I don't think is even a thought. I don't even think it's a question. I think he's going to be the best defensive player in the league. Right? Will he be the greatest defensive player ever? That's a question, right? It's going to be interesting to see. But I do think that, again, if he can maintain and keep that level of consistency we saw this year, again, not even saying getting better. I do think he has the potential to get better. Again, he's 20 years old. But if he can continue to head in that right direction, then yes, watch out, right? I do agree that he needs to play as a big man on the offensive side. Not saying he can't take threes, but to put this in perspective, Karl Anthony Towns, who's been arguably the best, if not the best, 3-point big, like 7-foot guy in the league, last season he shot 41.6% from three. So basically 42% from three. And he shot 5.3 attempts per game. The year before that, he took 5.7 attempts. The year before that, 4.9. Right? So the last 3 years, he's taken essentially less threes than Wemby did in his rookie season. But Karl Anthony Towns is also a 40% three-point shooter. And he's playing power forward for Minnesota the last 2 years, right? So again, it's one of those things. Now, you look at the previous years, right? He had a 2-year stretch in 2019, 2020, and 2020, 21 where he averaged 6.3 attempts and 8 attempts. Again, still shooting 40%, which is really good, but it's insane. Like, I don't know if I want Victor necessarily taking that many threes. Again, if he's hot and he's cooking, let him cook, right? But consistently, game in and game out, night in and night out, I'm a little iffy on that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Victor being the best defensive player in the league? Do you think that will be the case? Do you think he will be? Do you think hey, it's a little too early to even talk about that, discuss that? Do you think that, it's something that is basically a given? Do you have concerns about the offensive side of things? I haven't feel whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.